The lost heir of Eldoria. Once in a generation. That's what they say anyway. Dragons have long been extinct in the wild. The royal house of Valmer holds the only mating pair. It is unclear how old they are, but for as long as anyone can remember, they mate and hatch one dragonling every 2 decades. Dragonlings imprint on the next member of the royal family who will be king or queen. Mama says that when King Darius Valmer was chosen, the kingdom celebrated for weeks. That was long before I was born. But it was time again, for Vera and Tarsus have laid another egg. Princess Elira and Prince Kael will stand before the hatchling. Whichever of them is chosen will be the next ruler. Golden and indigo banners hang from every window. Flowers are in baskets waiting to be thrown into the air. The market is bustling with vendors here to sell their wares as the kingdom celebrates. It is an event open to the public, and Leora and I want to go. As we head to the castle, the line is almost back to the lower district, but Leora pulls me through streets I didn't even know existed. She takes me to a back door where she kisses the young man waiting there for her. Oh, if her mother knew. Apparently, in exchange for entrance through the kitchens, we have to help prepare the meal. I am tasked with folding bread while Leora starts turning the boar over the fire. I am annoyed, but it seems like there is a while yet to wait. After I finish the dough, I am dusted off and given a tray to carry to the ceremony hall. Luckily, Mama bought me a new skirt and top just for today. I walk slowly but with determination, as I try not to slosh the water around. Leora says she will catch up in just a moment. As I approach the hall, a servant comes to my aid, taking the refreshments directly to the waiting royal family who sit on a dais behind where the 2 dragons are curled around their eggs. Aegir, King Darius's dragon, rests on the roof, his head dropped down, watching with keen interest. I am glad the tray was taken, for if it hadn't been, I would have dropped it. I have never actually seen a dragon before. The 3 dragons looked like jewels in firelight. Azure, emerald, and crimson. Their scales shimmered as they shifted, flickering glow dancing over their powerful bodies. The emerald one stretched its wings slightly, letting out a slow, measured breath while the crimson dragon's tail twitched in anticipation. Their eyes gleamed with intelligence, watching the ceremony unfold with an almost knowing presence. The egg below was a pale yellow. I could imagine the little dragonling clearly. She would be a creamy yellow like fresh-turned butter, but as she aged, her scales would darken into the purest gold. Vera looked over at me, her violet eyes calm and deep. She blinked and I blinked in response. Another servant ran into me, and I was jolted back into reality. I had to go, join the crowds. There was a railing surrounding the warm sands where the egg was nestled, and I shimmied my way around it so that I was directly opposite the royal family. Vera watched me for a moment but turned her attention to her bored son, who had started huffing smoke above the crowded hall. A slight growl, and he was curled into a green ball. I couldn't help but smile. 21 years old, and he was still basically a fledgling. The royal family kept to themselves, only leaving the keep for matters of diplomacy. I had only seen the king a few times, and his queen once. I had never seen the prince or princess before. Kael looked to be nearly 20, conceived directly after his father ascended to the throne. Very handsome. Elira, however, was younger, perhaps only into her teen years. There had been rumors when I was young that the queen could bear no more children for the king. The kingdom had celebrated when Elira was born. I remember being about 4 years old. A kind woman had given me a yellow rose. The stands had become even more crowded and a sharp crack could be heard. Elira and Kael both stepped out to greet the soon-to-be-born hatchling. Oh, I was right. As pale as that rose, from so long ago, with glistening wings of gossamer. She looked to be made of tissue, but her eyes shone with the strength of steel. She raised her little head and looked Elira right in the eye. They stared at each other for a long moment before the little dragoness turned her head to look at Kael. He didn't even get to look her in the eyes. She paced restlessly around the enclosure and my soul wanted to reach out and hold her. She looked at Vera and Tarsus before stalking away, directly at me. I couldn't look away from those golden eyes. And then she nudged my hand, resting on the railing. There were screams and yells, and the king stood, pointing at me. I was surrounded by guards, the crowd being shoved away. They were demanding I follow them. And then I heard Silvara hiss and scream in defiance. She was so tiny. The hilt of a sword collided with the back of my head. The last thing I saw before darkness was Tarsus, his giant crimson body surrounding me, roaring. The room was silent save for the occasional crackle of the fireplace. A messenger had been sent to summon my mother, and now I waited, my heart pounding in my chest. It felt like an eternity before the great doors creaked open, and my mother stepped inside, her expression a mixture of confusion and concern. I felt Silvara's warmth beside me, her presence reassuring as my mother hesitantly approached the king. The king studied her. "Who is the father of your daughter?" Mama swallowed hard, shaking her head at first. "I don't understand. Her father was a knight, not a noble." She paused as if recalling something distant. "But now I remember. He told me little of his origins, only that his family had fallen from grace long ago. The house of Eldoria. It all makes sense now. He was of the lost royal bloodline." The revelation sent murmurs through the chamber. Kyle moved closer to me, his presence offering a quiet strength. Elira scoffed, arms crossed. "This is nonsense. She's a commoner." The queen frowned, her skepticism evident, but she studied me more closely. And yet the dragon chose her, just as they chose our ancestors. Kale turned to his father. "What does this mean for the kingdom?" King Darius exhaled deeply. "It means fate has taken its course. We must consider what role she is meant to play." Silvera let out a soft growl, curling protectively around my feet. My mother looked at me, love and sorrow in her eyes. "I knew you were always meant for more." The king met my gaze and nodded solemnly. "Then we must decide how to move forward. Kale, guide her, help her understand her heritage." He turned to the assembled court and raised his voice for all to hear. "From this day forward, she shall be known by her true name, Neri of House Eldoria, rightful heir to the throne of her ancestors, and her mother as Queen Mother of Eldoria. When the time is right, she shall take her place as queen, as destiny has decreed." A hushed gasp spread through the chamber. Kale stepped closer to me, offering silent reassurance. Elira looked as if she might explode, her hands clenched into fists. "This is outrageous. You cannot just hand her a crown." The queen, however, silenced her daughter with a sharp glance. "No, Elira. It is the right thing to do. They have lived as commoners long enough." King Darius continued, "Effective immediately, the wing of the palace that once belonged to the house of Eldoria shall be reopened for Neri and her mother. They will have their rightful place among the nobility, with servants to tend to their needs." Kale smiled at me, his gaze steady. "You will always have a place here, Neri. This is your house now as well." His words sent a flutter through my chest. I glanced toward the king and queen, seeing the cautious acceptance in their eyes. The road ahead would not be easy, but as I felt Silvara's presence beside me, I knew one thing for certain. My life was going to change completely. It was like a dream coming true. That evening, my mother and I were escorted to our new living quarters. The palace wing that had once belonged to the House of Eldoria had remained untouched for generations. But as the grand door swung open, I gasped. The opulence was beyond anything I had ever imagined. High vaulted ceilings painted with golden dragons, grand chandeliers dripping with crystal, and intricate tapestries depicting scenes of my ancestors. Sunlight streamed through enormous windows, leading to a sprawling courtyard with soft grass and a large stone platform, designed specifically for dragons to land and rest comfortably. When we finally reached my chambers, I felt tears welling in my eyes. A massive 4-poster bed stood in the center, its frame carved with dragons in mid-flight, their wings outstretched as if soaring through the heavens. The sheets were of the finest white silk embroidered with golden threads, and the walls shimmered with intricate dragon motifs woven into the decor. It was a room fit for a queen. As soon as the door closed behind the servants, my mother and I turned to each other, eyes wide. A moment of stunned silence passed before we both let out excited screams, grasping hands and twirling in place like giddy children. The weight of years spent living as commoners suddenly lifted, and for the first time, reality settled in. This was our new home, our new life. A knock at the door interrupted our laughter. A steward entered with a deep bow. "My Lady Neri, Queen Mother, your servants are ready to attend to you. Should you require anything, simply ask. You are to be treated as the royal family you rightfully are." As the door closed once more, I sank onto my dragon-carved bed, exhaling deeply. Silvara, who had been quietly following us, let out a soft huff before leaping gracefully onto the bed beside me, curling up like a feline. Her golden eyes gleamed with amusement. "You are pleased with this place?" Her voice echoed in my mind through our telepathic bond. I smiled, running a hand gently along her shimmering scales. "More than pleased. It's like something from a story. I can't believe this is real." Silvara let out a chuff. "It is real, Neri. This is where you belong now. I known it." My mother, still breathless from the excitement, sat beside me, her fingers tracing the embroidered golden dragons on the silk sheets. "I never dreamed we'd live in a place like this." Silvara stretched her wings slightly, then folded them back against her body. "A queen must have her kingdom, and this is the beginning of yours." A sudden thought made me grin. "Does that make you my royal guardian?" "Of course," Silvara purred, "and no one shall stand against you while I live." That evening, after exploring our new chambers, my mother and I were each led to our private bathing quarters. The warm water was infused with fragrant oils, and attendants scrubbed away the remnants of our former life. I let myself sink into the luxury, my skin tingling from the scented steam. Afterward, we were dressed in silk nightgowns soft as clouds against our skin, before being guided to our respective beds for the night. I traced the dragon carvings on my 4-poster bed, marveling at the exquisite detail before drifting into sleep. The next morning, the first light of dawn barely touched the sky when the servants entered to wake us. My mother and I were ushered into elegant dresses, though I immediately balked at the corset. "Absolutely not," I declared, crossing my arms stubbornly. The maids exchanged nervous glances, but my mother only chuckled. "Let her be. She's royalty now. She can make her own choices." Dressed in flowing silks, I made my way to the dining hall, where an elaborate breakfast awaited us. Plates of fresh fruits, honey-drizzled pastries, and steaming meats were laid out across the grand table. As I took my seat, a familiar voice greeted me. Kale stood at the entrance, his arms crossed with an amused smile. "I see you're already causing trouble," he teased. "I was sent to collect you. Your lessons begin today." I swallowed my bite of pastry. "Lessons?" Kyle nodded. "If you're to rule, you need to be prepared. History, governance, diplomacy, warfare. You must learn it all, and I'll be your guide." His words sent a wave of relief and excitement through me. The thought of navigating this new life alone had terrified me, but knowing Kale would be by my side made everything feel less overwhelming. I offered him a small smile, feeling a warmth spread in my chest. "I'm glad it's you," I admitted. "If I have to learn all of this, I couldn't ask for a better teacher." As the days passed, my training began in earnest. From morning to evening, I studied everything from politics to accounting, learning the intricacies of ruling a kingdom. Kyle was present for most of my lessons, offering advice and sharing his own experiences. I found myself looking forward to our discussions, his wit making even the driest subjects engaging. Meanwhile, my mother struggled to adapt to a life of leisure. Having spent years working tirelessly to provide for us, she found herself restless within the opulent walls of our new home. It wasn't long before she took matters into her own hands, transforming the neglected palace gardens into a breathtaking paradise. Roses, violets, and lilies bloomed in a vibrant display, their fragrances filling the air. Servants whispered of the Queen Mother's remarkable skill, and even the royal family took notice of the garden's newfound beauty. She also immersed herself in reading, devouring every book she could find in the palace library. When she wasn't lost in historical tomes, she spent hours in the palace kitchens, rekindling her love for baking. Soon the halls of our wing were filled with the scent of freshly baked bread and pastries. Every evening she would set aside a treat for me, waiting eagerly to hear of my progress. "You're learning quickly," Kyle said one afternoon as we studied maps of the kingdom. "You might be better at strategy than I am." I smirked. "That's because I actually listen." He chuckled, shaking his head. "I'll admit, you're dedicated, but don't think I'll go easy on you in our next sparring session." Despite our playful banter, I refused to be just another pampered ruler. I insisted on training in swordplay, learning to wield a blade so I would never have to rely solely on guards, or even Silvara. Horse riding, archery, and combat drills became part of my daily routine, alongside etiquette, dancing, and the refined arts of nobility. Every step, every lesson, brought me closer to understanding my new role. At night, when exhaustion weighed heavy on me, I would retreat to my chambers, where Silvara awaited. She would curl beside me, offering quiet reassurance. "You are strong, Neri," she would say through our bond. "You were born for this, and you are not alone." One evening, as I sank into my bed curled up with Silvara, the scent of warm honeyed bread reached me. My mother entered with a small plate, smiling softly. "You looked exhausted, so I thought this might help." I sat up, taking a bite, savoring the comforting taste. "You don't have to keep taking care of me, you know." She laughed. A mother never stops caring for her child, no matter how royal she may become. Besides, I have too much energy to sit around doing nothing. The gardens have never looked better, and I believe I might rival the palace bakers soon. Silvara stretched lazily on the bed, flicking her tail. "You humans always need something to keep you occupied. If I had my way, I would sleep in the sun all day." I chuckled, shaking my head. "You do that already, Silvara?" "Exactly," she purred. "It is the best way to live." I sighed, running my fingers gently over her golden scales. "I hope you're right. Sometimes it feels like I have so much to learn." "You do," Silvara said, amusement in her tone. "But you have Kyle, and you have me. You are not alone." Her words soothed something deep inside me, and as the days turned into weeks, I realized she was right. Late at night, after long hours of training, I began working in secret on a kingdom improvement plan. With Silvara's help, I gathered information on commoners' struggles: overcrowded schools, crumbling roads, unfair labor conditions, lack of proper sanitation, and insufficient medical care. Many villages lacked wells with clean drinking water, and farmers struggled with outdated tools and failing irrigation systems. The trade routes connecting smaller settlements were poorly maintained, making commerce slow and difficult. Tax burdens on the lower classes were disproportionate, leaving them in perpetual hardship. Having lived among them, I knew their struggles firsthand, and I devised practical solutions that would require minimal funding but bring maximum impact. Silvara, with her wisdom and keen observation, helped refine my ideas, suggesting ways to allocate resources more efficiently. Together we crafted a plan that addressed education, infrastructure, workers' rights, healthcare, and economic sustainability. It was ambitious but necessary. One morning I surprised Kale with my proposal, spreading parchment across a large table in the study. "What's all this?" he asked curiously. "A plan," I said, my eyes gleaming with excitement. "Solutions to problems that have been ignored because they weren't seen as priorities. But they should be." He studied the pages, his brows lifting in amazement. This is actually brilliant, Neri. You've accounted for resources, costs, and logistics, and all of this with a budget far smaller than expected. How did you?" I smirked. "I grew up with these problems, Kale. I know what needs to change." I hesitated, suddenly unsure. "Kale, I don't think I can do this. What if he dismisses it? What if he laughs at me?" Kale placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder, his expression earnest. "Neri, one day you will be sitting in that very chair making decisions for the kingdom. You can't be afraid to speak up now." I swallowed hard, feeling Silvara's steady presence in my mind. "You are capable, Neri. You have already seen the problems they have ignored. Now make them see." Taking a deep breath, I nodded. "All right, let's do this." Kyle grinned. "Then we need to take this to my father." When we presented it to King Darius, he was silent for a long moment, reading through the proposals. Then, to my astonishment, he smiled. "You have the mind of a true ruler, Neri. I would have never considered these reforms myself. These crucial problems have been ignored for too long, but you have placed them at the forefront." He stood and faced the council, his expression thoughtful before turning resolute. "This plan shall be implemented immediately. The improvements outlined here will shape the future of our kingdom, ensuring that the people's needs are met and that prosperity is shared among all." He then turned to Kale and me with a firm nod. "I am entrusting both of you with overseeing this initiative personally. You will ensure that every project is carried out effectively, and you will have my full support in making these reforms a reality. This is your first true test of leadership. Do not disappoint me." I exchanged a look with Kale, my heart pounding with excitement and responsibility. This was more than I had expected, but exactly what I had hoped for. Kyle grinned at me before bowing to his father. "We won't let you down." I followed suit, my voice steady as I spoke. "Thank you, Your Majesty. We will make sure the kingdom thrives." As we left the chamber, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The path ahead was daunting, but with Kale by my side, I knew we would rise to the challenge together. I let out a breath of relief as Kale beamed at me. "You did it." I glanced at Silvara, who flicked her tail smugly. We did it. A year passed, and the kingdom of Valmer had transformed in ways no one had anticipated. With Kale and I overseeing the implementation of our plan, progress was swift and visible. New schools flourished, roads once riddled with potholes were paved, and villages received fresh water wells. Medical centers provided care to those in need, and artisans thrived with improved trade routes. Farmers harvested better yields with upgraded irrigation, and laborers now worked under fairer conditions. For the first time in decades, hope resonated in every corner of the kingdom. The land was thriving everywhere. Kyle and I spent long days traveling to different regions, inspecting progress, speaking to the people, and ensuring everything was running smoothly. The more we worked together, the more our bond deepened. What had started as mere companionship blossomed into something far more interesting. One evening, as we rode back from a village inspection, Kale turned to me. "You know, people call you the Dragon Queen of the people. They adore you, Neri. You were one of them, and now you're giving them a better future." I blushed slightly. "I didn't do this alone. You've been by my side through it all." He chuckled. "Still, the people love you, and I can't say I blame them." "Silvara, who had been flying above us, landed gracefully beside our horses. He's right, you know. You are beloved, Neri. I exhaled deeply, taking in the sight of the village behind us. I only want to make this kingdom better for everyone. That's all that matters. When we returned to the palace, King Darius called for us. Standing before the court, he addressed the nobles and advisors. Under Neri and Kale's leadership, our kingdom has flourished. They have proven themselves capable, wise, and just. Their accomplishments have exceeded all expectations, and it is clear to me that they will be great rulers one day. He then turned to me, his eyes warm with approval. Neri, you are ready. You have shown wisdom, strength, and compassion, traits of a true queen. I could not be more proud of you. I have ruled for many years, but I believe it is time for me to step back. When you are ready, the throne shall be yours. The decision is in your hands. A wave of emotions flooded me. Gratitude, honor, and a hint of apprehension. I bowed my head respectfully. Your Majesty, I cannot express how much this means to me, but may I have some time to think? The king nodded with a knowing smile. Of course, Neri. The throne will wait until you are ready. Gasps filled the chamber, but I barely heard them. My heart pounded in my chest as I turned to Kale. He was already looking at me, his amber eyes warm and unwavering. I told you, he whispered with a smile. One day, you'd be making the decisions. Kyle and I stepped out into the palace garden, the evening air crisp and scented with the blooms my mother had planted. The fountain in the center trickled softly as we sat on a stone bench, the weight of the king's words still settling over me. You don't have to decide now, Neri, Kale said gently, watching me with concern. This is a huge responsibility, and no one expects you to rush into it. Take your time. You're more than fit to rule, but when you do, it should be on your terms. I exhaled, my fingers grazing the edge of my dress. What if I'm not ready? What if I fail? Kale reached out, taking my hand in his. You won't fail. Not with your heart, your intelligence, and your drive. And you won't be alone. Your mother, my father, Silvara, and me. We'll all be here for you. His words steadied me more than he knew. With a small smile, I squeezed his hand before standing. I need to speak with my mother. Back in our wing, I found my mother seated by the window, a book in her lap and a steaming cup of tea beside her. Silvara lounged near the fireplace, her golden eyes watching me with quiet understanding. You seem troubled, my love, my mother said, closing her book. I hesitated before sitting beside her. The king has given me the choice to take the throne. He believes I am ready, but I still feel like the girl who grew up in the market square. I know I can do this, but the thought of ruling alone feels daunting. Silvara's tail flicked. Then do not rule alone. My mother's eyes twinkled knowingly. What are you suggesting, dear? I swallowed, glancing toward Silvara before looking back at my mother. I think I love Kale. He has been by my side through everything, and I trust him with all my heart. My mother's face broke into a warm smile. Then what's stopping you? The next morning, when I stood before the king once more, I met his gaze with newfound confidence. I have made my decision, Your Majesty. I know I am ready to rule, but I also know that I do not wish to do it alone. I turned to Kyle, my heart racing. Kale, if you will be by my side, I know we will make this kingdom greater than ever before. The room fell silent. Kale's eyes widened in shock before his expression softened into something deep and unreadable. You mean that? I nodded, smiling. I do. King Darius grinned, looking between us before nodding. Then it is decided. From this day forward, Kale and Neri are officially engaged. Their coronation shall take place on their wedding day, where they will rule together as king and queen. A mixture of gasps and applause filled the chamber. Kale turned to me, his amber eyes filled with something more profound than admiration. Love. He took my hand, pressing a gentle kiss to my knuckles. I fell in love with you the first day I saw you, Neri. You have no idea how long I've been waiting to hear those words. The weeks leading up to our wedding were a whirlwind of preparations, and with every passing day, the reality of becoming queen settled deeper within me. Lavish gowns were designed, diplomatic invitations were sent to neighboring kingdoms, and the palace was transformed into a vision of gold and ivory. But amidst the grandeur, one thing remained constant: Kale. Despite the hectic schedules, he never failed to find moments alone with me, teasing me with flirtatious comments that left me flustered. You know, he mused one evening as we reviewed the final seating arrangements, I think I rather enjoy seeing you this nervous. It's quite adorable. I huffed, my cheeks burning. I'm not nervous, I'm ensuring everything is perfect. Kyle leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Of course, my future queen. But just know that no matter how grand the ceremony, my eyes will only be on you. I nearly dropped the parchment in my hands. That's exactly the problem. Everyone will be looking, and I don't know if I'm ready for that. He only chuckled, his amber eyes twinkling with mischief. The day of the wedding arrived, and the kingdom of Valmer was alive with celebration. From the highest nobles to the humblest farmers, everyone took part in the festivities. Banners of gold and indigo adorned the streets, music and laughter filled the air, and feasts were laid out in every town square. Delegations from distant lands arrived, bringing gifts and blessings for our union. The entire kingdom celebrated as if it were a festival of old. The ceremony itself took place in the grand courtyard of the palace, beneath a canopy of silk and enchanted lanterns that floated like stars above us. Thousands of eyes watched as I walked down the aisle in an ivory gown embroidered with golden dragons, my heart pounding with anticipation. Kyle stood at the altar, dressed in regal navy and gold, his gaze unwavering as he watched me approach. When I reached him, he took my hand gently, his thumb brushing over my skin in reassurance. You are breathtaking, Neri. I blushed and then I smiled, feeling the last of my nerves melt away. And you look rather handsome yourself, Prince Kale. He smirked. Only rather? The officiant began the sacred rites, binding us together in the eyes of the kingdom and the gods. Vows were spoken, promises made. Then, at last, the moment everyone had waited for arrived. You may now kiss the bride. Kale's hand cupped my face, and for a moment the world faded. My heart pounded in my chest, my breath caught between anticipation and disbelief. Oh my God, he is going to kiss me now. This was it, the culmination of everything we had been through, the moment I had not dared to dream of. As he leaned in, warmth spread through me, and every doubt, every fear melted away. Nothing else mattered but this. Us. He leaned in slowly, savoring the anticipation, before finally pressing his lips to mine. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. The kiss was deep and filled with every unspoken emotion we had shared throughout our journey. It was love, promise, and eternity sealed in a single moment. I felt my temperature rise. The crowd erupted in cheers. Silvara let out a triumphant roar, and fireworks painted the sky in brilliant hues. As we parted, Kale rested his forehead against mine, whispering, "We did it, my queen." I smiled, breathless and elated. Yes, my king, we did. And with that, our reign began, not just as rulers, but as two hearts bound together in love and destiny, ready to lead Valmer into a new golden age.